There are several different panels available to you so that you can easily choose colors to use inside of Photoshop documents. Let's start off by going to the Tools over on our right. You may see this color icon and the swatches icon. If you don't, go to your window menu and choose them from there. Let's start off with color. Color opens up these sliders and these text fields, as well as this region down here. What you can do is enter values in these fields, such as 26 or 25, and you'll see the slider move. And you can do the same thing for here, 125, for example, and let's say 75. Now, these fields are very helpful, especially when you have a client who wants specific color information for a character. Let's say you're working on a Disney character, and that character's pants on all the toys and all the merchandising is always this exact color. This is going to save you a lot of heartache so that you can always match that color precisely, especially if it's RGB. Now, of course, if you need to switch to CMYK, you go to the options here, and you can change how you deal with those sliders. So I can work with CMYK now, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. I can also work with hue, saturation, and brightness, which is the HSB slider. So I'm going to go back to the RGB. I can also click in this field and move my mouse around to choose a color. When I'm happy with where I'm going, I can then continue to modify that by using the sliders. I'm going to go ahead and close that now. Let's talk about swatches now. Swatches allow you to choose a color by clicking on it one time, and then that color lives in the foreground swatch over here in the toolbox. So I can choose this color, and this is the color I'll paint with. I can now go back to color here, and the same color is in this field. Now this is very handy. Let's say you want to work with blue. So I'll choose a blue. But this is not quite dark enough, so I can go to color now and move that slider down. And I can darken that color up. Sometimes, by the way, you will see this little warning. Out of gamut for printing simply means that there is no ink equivalent to this color in the real world. You can get this on the computer, but a printer is going to have a really hard time matching this color. So what I can do is click on that little icon, and Photoshop will choose the color that's closest to it, but can be printed easily. We can also change colors by double-clicking on the foreground swatch here to open up the color picker. I can move my mouse in this large field here, and I can keep my eye on the new color as opposed to the current color, which is the color that I selected originally. So I'm looking at the top to see what I'm going to wind up with, and I'm leaving this area behind. You also notice you can change your colors by entering the field area, such as HSB, as we talked about earlier, RGB, lab color, and CMYK. If you're familiar with web design, you can also enter hex numbers here as well. If you want to stick to web colors only, click here. And now you'll only be limited to the web colors that are considered web safe. Now typically, I really ignore those. I just go ahead and do what I want to do anyway, and I just throw them up on the internet. By the way, if you are doing web design, I want you to know that a little tip here. Windows monitors typically show colors a little bit darker than on the Macintosh. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Alright, so that is how you can use these guys here to change colors so that you can work with them inside of your Photoshop documents.